Okay, we are live. We are live. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you. Welcome back to the Features Live. Another Thursday live. I hope you're all well. I greet you all in peace and love and serenity. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you. So before we continue, I just want you guys to give me the thumbs up. Do the hitchhike for me if you can hear me. I need that hitchhike. Give me the hitchhike. Give me the thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. And make sure you share. Make sure you share right now. We got another fire topic for you guys, as usual. All right? Give me the thumbs up. Share, like, subscribe, hit me up on Patreon. And this topic, again, is going to be extremely deep, extremely relevant for, especially to those who are Black converts and living in the diaspora. Very relevant for you guys. And it's the Mark of Judas. That's the topic of this week, the Mark of Judas. So, why the Mark of Judas? If those of you who are converts, you already understand or have a little bit of an idea of what I'm talking about, right? So I'm just going to explain quickly from those of us who are Christian and who used to believe in Christianity. The biggest betrayer or the biggest traitor in Christianity is a man named Judas. This man named Judas is somebody who sold out Jesus, peace be upon him, for 30 pieces of silver in order for the Romans to catch him and put him on a cross, as we used to believe as Christians. You're going to say, thumbs up, give me the like, subscribe, share. Share right now because we're going to go in hot. All right? Share right now. We're going to go in hot. Tag your friends right now. It's going to be a hot topic. Thumbs up if you can hear me. On YouTube, if you can hear me, hit me with the thumbs up, please. And when we were Christian, this man named Judas was one of the disciples or his close followers of Jesus. He was close to him. And the Romans essentially bought his betrayal for 30 pieces of silver in order to have Jesus captured and eventually killed by the Roman soldiers, according to the Christian tradition, right? So the Mark of Judas right now, what we're paying attention to is the signs or the outcomes of those people who are in our community and habitually betray us for biscuits, for butter biscuits and trinkets for massa in them. And the same tactics that they've used against the Black community is the same tactics they use in Islam, as I mentioned before many times, that the Muslim struggle is the Black struggle. It's a copy and paste model that they're using against the Muslim community right now. And we have in my humble opinion, many more biscuits in the Muslim community because they come from their Muslim countries to the West in order to participate in white supremacy, not to destroy it. You understand? So there's a conglomerate of people who are intentionally trying to push Muslims in certain directions, whether politically or socially or whatnot, in order to get their biscuits from the political elite. So before I begin, I just want to quickly read this hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, talking about the signs of a hypocrite. All right, so the Prophet ﷺ, and this hadith is muttafaqun alayh, so it's in both Bukhari and Muslim, where the Prophet ﷺ, and it's related from Abdullah bin Amr, where he said, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he said, there are 4 signs of a hypocrite that makes somebody a pure hypocrite. And whoever has these characteristics has the characteristics of hypocrisy until he abandons them. Okay, so there are 4 signs of a hypocrite, and whoever has these traits of the hypocrite is a pure hypocrite until they leave or abandon these traits. So the first trait is whenever he speaks, he lies. Okay, and that's the most important, because there are other hadith that talk about the traits of a hypocrite, and all of them mention lying as being the number 1 trait of a hypocrite. When he makes a covenant, he's treacherous, right? So he can't keep his covenants with people, right? Whenever he makes a promise, he breaks it. And whenever he argues in a wicked manner, in a condescending, rude manner, right? So these are the 4 signs of a hypocrite. Now, when we talk about hypocrisy in the description that is coming from the Quran itself, we are talking about people who are actually infiltrators, people who can be bought and sold and push the Muslims in a certain political direction based upon their desires, right? So people who are in Islam who want to destroy Islam from within, right? And we mentioned their signs. Now, quick question to the listeners right now. How many of you know, just a quick yes or no, do you guys know who William O'Neill is? Just a quick yes or no. Just type in the chat, yes or no, quickly. Don't research, just say, I'm asking, do you know who William O'Neill is? Who is William O'Neill? Type yes or no. Yes, I know him. No, I don't know him. No, okay, no. So I'm seeing 1 yes. Okay, seeing more no's. All right, so it looks like most people are like no, and I see 1 yes. So William O'Neill was the FBI informant that was used to assassinate Fred Hampton. Okay, even though he didn't know that he was being used in that way. And who is Fred Hampton? Fred Hampton is one of the original leaders of the Black Panther Party, right? So how did he become an FBI informant? And I want you guys to pay attention to this, because this is a lesson that we need to learn today, because this pattern is being used up until this very day in the Muslim community. So how was it that he became an FBI informant? What happened was the cops caught him stealing a car, and he wanted to work off his debt, right? In stealing the car. And around the same time, the Black Panther Party, they started their breakfast for children programs, which quickly garnered the attention of the FBI. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, especially now share. Hit me up on Patreon, okay? So imagine the breakfast program for kids. It's what caught the attention of the FBI at that time. They claim that the breakfast program was designed to indoctrinate children. Now, why is this important? We'll come back to that in a minute, okay? So this is from the original FBI documentation, okay? And I'm reading directly. Their plan was to, and I'm quoting here, formulate specific counterintelligence techniques to disrupt this nefarious activity, okay? Nefarious activity. They described the Breakfast for Children program as a nefarious activity. This is directly from the FBI documents. And the whole point of them trying to smash this program was because they said that they were trying to indoctrinate children. Why is that important? It's because since we landed off the shores of Africa in the diaspora, there has been an aggressive push to indoctrinate our children from white supremacists. An aggressive push, first from Christianity, as we all know, right? We know that they aggressively try to indoctrinate Black people into Christianity because they said, and there's many articles, I even have one queued up, but I'm just trying to, because I have a lot of stuff queued up for this particular talk, but I'm not sure if I'll have enough time, but if I have enough time, I'll play it later. But they said because a Christian, a Negro Christian makes a better slave. You feel me? So when somebody stands up for the betterment of Black people and Black children, in their mind, they see that as indoctrination, even though they themselves are the indoctrinators, even though they themselves are the criminals, right? They do not want Black people to come out and stand up for themselves. You understand? And it's in their government mandates. And to describe any type of Black upliftment as nefarious. And up until this very day, when you Muslims ever talk about Black upliftment, what do they call you? What do you get labeled with? As a Muslim, from other Muslims, what do they say that you are? What do they say that you are when you talk about Black upliftment? I'm asking, somebody answer. What do they call you? Remember, we're talking about a breakfast program for children. They describe that as nefarious. A racist Hizbi. That's one, exactly. They call you a racist Hizbi. What else do they call you? When you start talking about Black upliftment, what else do they call you? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. They call you a racist Hizbi. What else do they call you? For standing up for Black people. What other things do they say about you? For standing, remember, a hypocrite. What else? They call you Black nationalist. What else? What else? All kinds of things, right? Racist, hypocrite. They have all types of epithets. And extremists. They call you extremists. They have all types of epithets and insults to call you, to name call you for standing up for Black unity and Black liberation. I can't think of a term, but they advise you to leave that stuff out of Islam. Yeah, that's the other thing. They basically dismiss your pain and your suffering and saying that's not a part of Islam. But the Palestinian cause, that's a part of Islam. The Syrian cause, that's a part of Islam. But your Black suffering has nothing to do with Islam, right? This, again, it comes directly from the enemies of Islam themselves. That's their mandate. It's a direct beeline, as you can see, directly from them. That's their mandate. It's their mandate so that they produce shines, sellouts, coons, butter biscuits within the Black community, crabs, in order to keep supporting causes that are not our causes, because our causes are un-Islamic, but everybody else's cause is Islamic. And this is something that has been done in the West from time. So whenever you stand up for yourself, I saw a meme today, the Jews stand up for Jewish rights, the Chinese stand up for Chinese rights. Excuse me. The Japanese stand up for Japanese, or the Hispanics stand up for Hispanic rights, and the Blacks stand up for civil rights. And then you wonder what the problem is. That's the problem right there. That's the problem right there. So what does this have to do with the Mark of Judas? I'm getting to it. William O'Neill is one of our Judases. You understand? William O'Neill is one of the Judases within the black community, but how did he become a Judas? They see the methodology that they use way back, way back at the time of Jesus, peace be upon him. The same methodology. They came to Judas with 30 pieces of silver, and they came to William O'Neill with an offer to expunge his record and a job offer to go and infiltrate the Black Panther Party. The same tactics. The same tactics. And not only that, William O'Neill, who did not know how his information was going to be used, inadvertently gave the police and the FBI floor plans of the Black Panther Party offices, which is where Fred Hampton was sleeping, which gave the outline or the outlay for them to come in and assassinate Fred Hampton in the middle of the night. And then after they did that, they gave him a $300 bonus for $300 extra. $300 extra. But Bilal, what does that have to do with the Mark of Judas in today's concept? I'm getting to that. Who knows who? Just quick yes or no. Do you know who Ralph David Abernathy is? Reverend Ralph David Abernathy. Who knows who he is? Quick yes or no. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I'll just tell you quickly so we can save on time. Reverend Ralph David Abernathy was Martin Luther King's right-hand man. Okay. Now at the time of Martin Luther King, he was a big priority for the FBI. Everywhere that he went, they would put bugs. They would bug every single hotel room that he went to, wherever he was, his home, you name it. They were listening to every single thing that was happening everywhere that he went, literally everywhere. The FBI was just tailing him, following him, right? And one of the people who Martin Luther King was very close to was this Reverend Ralph David Abernathy. Now, it came to light through the FBI following Martin Luther King that he was, having affairs and stuff, right? On the road, he was having affairs. And the FBI used this information. They sent him a fake letter, as they did in these times. They most likely still do up until this day. They sent him a fake letter telling, pretending to be one of his parishioners that was following him, who found out this information, and they were encouraging Martin Luther King to kill himself. Okay? To kill himself. So what does this have to do with Ralph David Abernathy? Ralph David Abernathy, after Martin Luther King's assassination, he was the de facto leader of that particular movement. And I want to say in the 80s or 90s or something like that, he wrote a book, no, probably the 80s, I think in the 80s. He wrote a book outlining all of Martin Luther King's extramarital affairs. Ralph David Abernathy. And if you never knew who he was, that's why. That's why you didn't know who he was, because he was carrying out the mandate of white supremacy in order to catch his biscuits. You understand? In order for him to sell books, he would sell out the entire movement in favor of the FBI. Now, how many of you know that J. Edgar Hoover was a homosexual? How many of you know that? I mentioned this before several times in my videos, that he was a homosexual. He was a member of the LGBTQ community, right? And when he died, he left all of his belongings to his lover, right? And he always, he's always went after Black people. He specifically called the Black Panther Party the most dangerous threat to America. Any type of Black power movement, he was vehemently against it. And I also reminded you that the LGBTQ movement has roots in white supremacy. It has roots in eugenics. The whole thing, right? From Margaret Sanger, who was a strong supporter of gay rights back in the 30s and whatnot, right? The founder of Planned Parenthood. But anyway, the whole point of the FBI is to produce sellouts. And they have a certain method that they use, from entrapment, like they tried with Martin Luther King, from like they did with William O'Neill, and another man, which just came out on the 20th of this month, the day before the anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X. A letter was released by a man named Ray Wood, and it went viral. It went viral. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Give me a hitchhike. Give me a hitchhike, please. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thumbs up. Give me a hitchhike. Like, share, subscribe. Hit me up on Patreon. Ray Wood he wrote a pretty much a deathbed letter where he disclosed that he was an undercover officer in the NYPD, right? And he was tasked to set up Malcolm X's security for blowing up the Statue of Liberty days before his lecture in the Audubon. And he didn't know at that time that he was being set up for the he was actually being used as a pawn to lay the framework for the assassination of Malcolm X. He didn't know that the target was Malcolm X. As most of you, I think you've probably already seen this. It went everywhere, right? Those of us who are in the Black grassroots, we're not surprised at all, period, right? We already knew that the FBI was involved in the assassination of Malcolm X. But what I'm trying to show you here is there's a pattern. There's a pattern of criminality, okay? Being caught with criminality or something like that, and being not in the know of what the real plans are, the exact plans are with these assassinations. You understand? And at the same time, receiving biscuits and trinkets for massa in them to sell out your people, right? This is the pattern. Why is this important? Why? I'm going to play you guys something, okay? I'm going to play you guys something. Just give me 1 second. Let me find it here. Okay, listen to this. Bismillah.
Before, monopolization. It's to monopolize. That's for any other reason why they do it. It's for monopolization. It's to monopolize, to be controlled. But basically that's just the way it is. You and I have already discussed it before. It's just to monopolize, to make everything under their umbrella. And basically that's what it is. But if there's anyone that opposes them that has any type of backbone or anything like that, he has some teeth, then they find something. And I know, like I told you, I've been in the circle, so I know that they always gather files on people. They end up.
Whoa! Let me just slow it down. So, did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that? Listen, I'm gonna play again, right? Listen to this.
It's for monopolization. It's to monopolize, to be controlled. But basically that's just the way it is. You and I have already discussed it before. It's just to monopolize, to make everything under their umbrella. And basically that's what it is, but if there's anyone that opposes them that has any type of backbone or anything like that, he has some teeth, then they find something. And I know, like I told you, I've been in the inner circle, so I know that they always gather files on people. They end up, years go by and they gather things, emails, texts, audios. They always keep a file on a person.
Are we talking about the FBI here? Are we talking about the FBI? First of all, for the intelligent black people, who is the sheikh speaking right now? If you guys know. If you guys know, just type his name. Type his name if you know who is speaking. What's the name of the sheikh that was speaking right now? What's the name of the sheikh that was speaking right now? Who knows? I might have a lot of young people up in here if you don't know. Does anybody know who the sheikh was? I'm going to play it one more time. One more time.
It's to monopolize, to be controlled. But basically that's just the way it is. You and I have already discussed it before. It's just, to monopolize, to make everything under their umbrella, and basically that's what it is. But if there's anyone that opposes them that has any type of backbone or anything like that, he has some teeth, then they find something. And I know, like I told you, I've been in the inner circle, so I know that they always gather files on people. They end up, years go by and they gather things, emails, texts, audios. They always keep a file on a person.
Does anybody know? Okay, I didn't see anybody answer. Somebody thinks it's Khalid Yassin. Somebody thinks it's Dawood Adib. Dawood Adib is the right answer. That is Sheikh Dawood Adib. Is he talking about the FBI? Sounds like he's talking about the FBI, right? It sounds like, based upon what we just heard, okay? Based upon all the information that I given you about William O'Neill, about Ray Wood, and the other Judases that were forced to become Judases based upon some sort of information or stranglehold that the police had on them. They were forced to become Judases. This is Sheikh Dawood Adib talking about spubs. Spubs. That's who he's talking about. Spubs uses the same FBI tactics against the black community that the FBI does. The same. The same. And by this methodology, they mass produce butter biscuits, coons, crabs, you name it, by this very tactic. And this is something that I know for a fact anyways, because most of you know that I was with Troid for many years. I was a high-ranking member of Troid. So this is a fact, right? Now, why did I choose this topic? Why did I choose to bring this up with spubs and whatnot? Like, subscribe, share. Right now, like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon. Why? The other day, I was listening to this, I guess, a Black Imams Council or something like that. It's a bunch of Sufi brothers, right? These Sufi Imams, right? On Facebook. I was listening to them speak, right? And they were having, their vending session against the Salafis. You understand? So I'm just listening. Now, what you got to understand, and I keep telling you guys this, but y'all don't believe me, so I'm going to read something for you guys today that's going to absolutely blow your minds. I'm going to read something to you guys that's going to blow your minds. What I keep telling you guys is that all of this Salafi, Sufi, dogmatic wars that we have, all of it is imported. And it ain't got nothing to do with the black community. You understand? Yeah, Black Imams Round Table, right? So that has nothing to do with the black community. And these brothers, these Sufi brothers, the same type of xenophobia that you find with Spubs and Troy in them, they were exhibiting the exact same type of xenophobia against the Salafis. Even if they knew it or not. And I was just listening, and I made a comment that Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah, even he himself was loved by Sufis because of the work that he did for the Muslims in general. And then one of their followers said Sheikh bin Baz was like a mujassima, right? Like somebody who believes that Allah has the attributes of a human being or the creation, whatever. And I basically responded back to him, bro, I'm not trying to argue with you, right? I know what I know, all right? And you just keep doing your thing. Why did I answer him like that? Because there is an underground movement to cause Muslims to fight within themselves. And it's been bought and paid for by several different governments. Are you just speaking off the top of your head? No, I'm not speaking about this. Is fact. And like I said, I'm going to read something to you that's going to blow your mind, right? So just relax, right? I'm not just talking here, right? We know that these people, Spubs and Troy and them, they are infiltrators. We understand that. That's why I read the hadith of the characteristics of a hypocrite, because they embody every single one of those characteristics. They embody all of them. Whenever they speak, they lie. Okay, they don't have a single covenant except that they are treacherous to it. Okay. They don't keep, there's not a promise that they keep. Okay. And when they argue, listen to Abu Khadija, the way he speaks about people. Just listen to them. Listen to Musa Richardson and Hassan Samayani and them guys, how they speak about people. Did they have anything good to say about any Muslim ever? The only person they ever heard Abu Khadija praise was Barack Obama. But he ain't got nothing good to say about any other Muslim. You understand? That's the point that I read that hadith in the beginning, because that's them. That's literally them. Right? Whenever I think of this hadith, I just think of these guys. You understand? So when you now, as a Salafi, make excuses and associations with people who lie, people who break promises, people who are extremely treacherous, as outlined by Sheikh Dawood Adib, that they keep files on you for years and years and years. Like the FBI, they keep files on you. And when they argue in a wicked, rude, insulting manner, right? And you make excuses for that one, but you have pure vitriol and xenophobia for Sufis. You understand? It's not a necessity that you speak good about Sufis, but it's not a necessity that you speak bad about them either. You understand? That ain't got nothing to do with us. Our job is just to teach the people the truth, and that's it. Whether the people accept it or reject it, that's not our problem. That's not our problem. You understand? Then they lump you in with those people, and that's exactly what they were doing. So when these Sufis, when they were talking about the Salafis, what they're really talking about is Spubs and Troy in them, not knowing that Sufis have a long, I don't know if they know, right? Or if they're just playing like they don't know, but Sufis have a long history of treachery within the Muslim community. I mean, a long history. Okay? A long history. And we don't have to get, I mean, if I have time, I can go into the history of it and whatnot. But basically, there have always been elements from the time of the Prophet ﷺ of people trying to destroy Islam from inside of Islam. So now the methodology of these kuffar with the Muslims is to have the Muslims destroy themselves from the inside, because it's easy to foster xenophobia and dogmatic overzealousness within the religion than it is to come from outside and to try to destroy it from the outside. You understand? This has always been the case. It's always been the case. So you have people now, their only job is to nurture anti-Islamic xenophobia from within Islam itself, and wrap it in different names, nice sounding names like Menhaj and Aqidah and all this kind of stuff, right? And that's why I keep saying, if you look at the example of Sheikh bin Baz and Sheikh Albani, rahimahullah, right, you will see a world of difference between the way that they acted and the way that these guys act. It's like two different universes. So anyways, I'm going to read you something from a book. Let me see here. Now, the title of the book might throw some of you off, but it's like the old saying goes, you can't judge a book by its cover, right? The title of the book is called Child Education in Islam by Abdullah Nasi Ulwan, right? Now, what he does here, he gives a portion in this book dedicated to showing how foreign governments try to destroy Islam from within and cause certain miseducation from within the Muslim ranks themselves, in order to produce the Mark of Judas. You understand? Within the Muslims. And he says it's important to get this information out so you can understand why certain people learn the way that they learn, or learn what they're learning, right? So one of the examples he gives, it's from the Russians, okay? The Soviet Union, with the problems that they were having with the Chechens and not the Afghans, but the Chechens, whatever. All these, because, the Russians, they had a lot of Islamic, like sub-states, right? Like Afghanistan, Chechnya, Uzbekistan, these type of places, right? So he's reading from he's writing from a magazine. He's quoting from a magazine. It's a Russian magazine called Science and Religion, okay? And this is in the issue of January 1st, 1964, right? Where it says, we in the Soviet Union are facing internal challenges in Islamic areas because the principles of Lenin are not absorbed by the blood of the Muslims, okay? Listen, in spite of the evil powers which fight against religion, Islam remains and is still powerful. 1964, he's writing this, okay? The evidence for this is the millions among the new generation in Islamic areas embrace Islam and publicize its teaching, okay? The document also says, among these plans is that, listen now, listen, y'all ain't ready for this. Among these plans is that, and I'm quoting, Islam itself should be used to destroy Islam. Did you catch that? Did you catch that? Islam itself should be used to destroy Islam. Ya Rab. Ya Salam. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. I'm not done. Therefore, we have decided to, number one, make a truce with Islam so that we may overcome it and attract Arab peoples to socialism. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. In 2021, all of these Islamic organizations that you find being started from Easterners, whether they're from Pakistan, India, or any Arab country, what is the typical political leaning that they trend towards? What is it? Remember what he said. Make a truce with Islam so they may overcome it and attract Arab peoples to socialism. What do these people coming from the Middle East and Pakistan and India and wherever, and they start all of these, thank you, lefties, thank you, Wayfarer, lefties. Haven't I been telling you this? That there's a reason who from your Black Muslim grassroots has been telling you this from day one. There's a reason why that all of these so-called Islamic groups trend towards left-leaning politics. All of them. Socialism is what? Is it not left-leaning? Is it not left-leaning? There's a reason. So when you find yourself, you can't control your emotions when it comes to the Asha'ira and the Sufis and whatnot, there's a reason why that is. There's a reason. There's a reason why you treat those Muslims as your sworn enemies when your sworn enemies get left. Now, let me ask you something. The Ottoman Empire, right, was largely what? Were they largely Salafi or Sufi? Come on, y'all. Were they largely Salafi or Sufi? They're Sufi, right? Did you know that Mehmet Ataturk, the founder of Turkey, not even towards the end, like they were Sufi, they were like, you know what I'm saying? They were Sufi, right? But Mehmet Ataturk, did you know that he knew Islam very well? Very well, even though that he was a self-proclaimed drinking atheist. He knew Quran, he knew Hadith, he knew very, very well. And he himself destroyed the Sufi shrines in Turkey. He razed the graves to the ground, calling it superstition as an atheist. As an atheist, he did that. And when Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah, did the same thing, they called him terrorist, blah, blah, blah. You rarely hear a Sufi speak about Mehmet Ataturk, right? Like, rarely. You know what I mean? The whole Ottoman Empire, according to them, was destroyed because of Saudi Arabia, right? Right? According to the Sufis, right? There's a reason why they say that. They're being played. But they don't know that they're being played. They don't understand that they're being played. They think that this is part of their religion. Just like when you call people to Islam, you call people to Allah, to the worship of Allah, to worship Allah alone and whatnot. The person that you're calling to Islam, right, when they accept Islam as a religion, They're generally not thinking about the attributes of Allah, whether Allah has a hand or whether He's above the seven heavens, all this kind of stuff. They become Muslim because they believe in Allah and they want to worship Allah. All that stuff has to be taught to them. So why is it that we as Black people, we are concerning ourselves with Middle Eastern centuries-old arguments that have nothing to do with us? I'm going to continue reading, right? Point 2, defame men of religion and religious monarchs and accuse them of being agents of imperialism and Zionism. Who is that today? Who is that today? Do you not know some YouTubers? Ya Rab. Ya Rab. I'm reading directly from the book, bros and broettes. I'm reading directly from the book. Do you not know some YouTubers today that all they do is defame men of religion and religious monarchs and accuse them of being agents of imperialism and Zionism? By name, they mention them by name and they curse them and all kind of stuff. Do you know some people like this? Now we're not talking about the Salafis anymore. Who are we talking about now? Because the Salafis don't do this. Salafis don't do that. Who are we talking about now? Yeah. Yes, you're being played. You are being played. I'll continue. Propagate the study of socialism in all institutes, colleges, and schools in all stages, and to crowd and besiege Islam so that it may not become a power that threatens communism. Okay, so now for this part, this right here, if you read between the lines, we're talking about any typical educational system in the West. You know, I keep telling you guys that, you know, again, this LGBTQ, all of it has ties in white supremacy, all of it. You understand? It's linked to white supremacy directly. And then it's not until I showed you what they said about Margaret Sanger that I think it's sunk in for some of you. Because Margaret Sanger was a staunch supporter of gay rights, right? When I showed you guys that, I think it kind of sunk in, right? But anyways, now you have this trend where these Muslims from the East, you know, Pakistan, whatever, their kids now are accepting Western values, right? Their kids are accepting Western values, and their imams are pushing it for them to accept Western values. Who is making the blueprint for this? Who's making the blueprint for this? Who's making a blueprint for this? For your imams to sign off on all this, you know, Western value stuff, this modernism that you find in the schools today. Instead of building your own schools, building your own communities so that these problems just don't happen. You feel me? When they are building something, they're not thinking about today. They're thinking about 20 years, 30 years down the line. You understand? If they can indoctrinate you from a child, by the time you're in your working age, you've already bought into the system psychologically. That's what that's all about. I'm continuing. Listen, number 4. Listen now. Listen. I know I just blew some of you guys' minds, man. Like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon, okay? I know we're getting deep now, okay? Prevent the rise of religious monuments in the country, however weak they may be, and work continually to eliminate any religious revival and beat mercilessly, even to death, all those who call to religion. To beat mercilessly, even to death, all those who call to religion. Now, the Muslims, do they need kuffar to beat us to death? Or are we doing this all on our lonesome? Ya Rab. Oh, you weren't expecting that. You weren't expecting that. I'm going to repeat the question. Do we need kuffar to beat us? Or are we doing that all on our lonesome? We do their work for them. You understand what I'm saying now? Do you understand why I keep saying this Ashari Athari war ain't got nothing to do with us? It has nothing to do with us. We have big problems. And all of this stuff is important. And they're telling you this stuff is imported. I didn't write this. I'm just reading you what they're telling you. And you can see it all being played out right before your eyes. And it is you who push agendas with your mouths and your actions of kuffar. You push it because you go for the okie doke. Now, in a community where we know that family structure is a problem, we know that we are under the foot of white supremacy and have been under the foot of white supremacy. And all of our leaders have been assassinated. And the only leader that I said it before, the only leader that has any type of respectability since the assassinations of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X is Louis Farrakhan in the Black community. He's the only one. And on top of that, all of your legit Muslim leaders, all of them, the ones who cared about you and that were doing work in the community, all of them have been attacked by the media and the government, or both, or even jailed, imprisoned, all of them. And the ones who haven't been attacked by the media or government, they're the ones who get free reign to talk about the Muslims. And you're sitting down there like, oh man, this is too deep, man. This is too deep. Like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon. Like, subscribe, share. Okay. Don't leave this lecture without liking. Don't leave this lecture without subscribing. Don't leave this lecture without sharing. And hit me up on Patreon. Okay. This is very important. Very important. Did Brother Bilal write this? Brother Bilal didn't write this. Was written in a Russian magazine in 1964. I didn't write this. And you see it happening, right before our eyes. Right before our eyes. Now, because I've been on for a long time, I'm going to, basically go back to those Sufi brothers, the Black Imams round table, right? And as I said, the same xenophobia that the Salafis were expressing towards the Sufis is exactly the same xenophobia that they were expressing again against the Salafis. So now what we have we have two core Black groups fighting each other over Akida issues, when that is not our fight. That is not our fight. And that had to be imported because historically, Black people never fought over these things like this. Never. When Malcolm X was alive, was he fighting the Christians? When Martin Luther King was alive, was he fighting the Muslims? What was their fight? Even the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he went to Medina, did he not sign the Medina Agreement? What's the Medina Agreement? The Medina Treaty between the Mushrikun of Medina and the Jews of Medina. The Jews and the Mushrikun of Medina. He signed this treaty as a treaty, a contract of protection of each other against the pagans of Mecca. He did that, the Prophet ﷺ. He did that. When Salahuddin Ayyubi was fighting against the Crusaders at his time, the Salafi ulama fought behind him, even though he was not just an Ashari, he was a hardcore Ashari. Hardcore. You are just carrying out, you are actually under, or you're under the umbrella, or you're fulfilling the mark of Judas when you carry out these type of things. What you're supposed to do if you have a disagreement with your brother, come here, brother. We have the Quran here. We have the Sunnah here. Let's talk about it. Let's just use the Quran and Sunnah. Let's be sincere. For the sake of Allah, we'll both make istikhara, ask Allah for guidance. Like this, we'll both make wudu, together. And we'll look at these books together. You make your argument, I make my argument. Even after that, if you still have a disagreement after that, you go your way, I go my way, but we're still brothers at the end of the day. That's wala wa bara. What they teach you now is the wala wa bara. Instead of making wala wa bara in terms of kufr and the hatred against Islam, they make it against other believers who believe in Allah because of these issues. So either you have two choices. Either you make takfir of those Muslims and call them kafir and shoot them outside of Islam, so you have an excuse to always attack them, or you're going to sit down, sit back, leave your emotions out of the conversation. Just leave your emotions out. And what is it that the Ummah needs right now? What is it that is destroying the Ummah right now? All of our problems, the Ottoman Empire, let me tell you something. The Ottoman Empire was in decline for a good 200 years before any of us heard about Salafiyah. Most of us became Muslim. As a matter of fact, all of us became Muslim. You became Muslim in the last century, despite not having Khilafah. We didn't need Khilafah to become Muslim. We became Muslim because Islam is the truth. We didn't come Muslim for no Ottomans. We didn't come Muslim for no madhab. That's not why we became Muslim. We became Muslim to worship Allah. The xenophobia that's inside of Islam, you notice that Christians don't have this xenophobia. They don't. You don't find the Catholics warning against the Anglicans. Excuse me. You don't find the Anglicans warring against the Presbyterians and whatnot. You don't find this on the pulpits, screaming and shouting about personalities in different sects. This is something specific to Muslims, and the reason why it exists is directly because of hypocrites who come to the religion of Islam and try to destroy it within Islam, and y'all go for it. And you don't think to stop and think, why am I Muslim? Am I Muslim to push this group, or am I Muslim to worship Allah? If you're Muslim to worship Allah, leave those things that don't concern you and worship Allah. It's very easy. It's very easy. And then when those people start speaking against things that you might feel sensitive about, just leave them. But this type of sectarianism that you find amongst the Muslims is exasperated directly from kuffar, and you heard it directly from kuffar. They exasperate these problems. They fund these problems. They make sure that we have these problems within the Muslims. You heard it here first, folks. Thought I was joking, huh? Y'all thought I was joking. Y'all thought I was just like, no. Brother Bilal wasn't joking, man. Brother Bilal was not joking. This is a very serious thing. We as Black people got way bigger problems to be worrying about New Hamim Keller and Hamza Yusuf. Are you kidding me? I can talk about Hamza Yusuf. Yeah, I can talk about Hamza Yusuf and New Hamim Keller. But I know my people got way bigger problems to be worried about those two. We got brothers right now coming out of prison who can't get jobs. We got sisters right now with children looking for husbands. They can't get husbands. If you can't keep the Black family together, after that, there's nothing else you need to be worried about, because everything else doesn't really matter. Not no reparations, not no revolution, nothing else matters if you don't have a Black family. But we're talking about sectarianism. Does that make sense? Am I crazy? Am I the one who's crazy? Am I the one who's crazy when I see Black people talking about Shia? Like, seriously. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about Iranians and stuff in the hood. Yeah, anyways, the mark of Judas is everywhere. The mark of Judas is everywhere. And some of us actually have it. Right? And it's up to us whether or not we remove that mark or not. It has intentionally been fostered and cultured in our communities. By intention. Since Christianity, they've been doing this stuff. And they wait till we become Muslims to do it again. And you heard it here first. And imagine, that was written before Black people started becoming Muslim en masse. Imagine their plans now. You don't think something funny is going on? You don't think something's rotten in Denmark? Anyways, Jazakumullah khair. Dumb arguments people use to justify sectarianism is saying Muslims are more vulnerable to other sects. Not only is that false, it's tidal wave of secularism, atheism, but it also ignores the relative harms. Thank you. Well said. Okay, so that's it for today, Ikhwan. I know it's a lot to swallow, but it's all real. It's all real. Again, yes, people use Muslims within Islam to destroy Islam, and you just carry out their bidding. We need self-reliance, come together, build infrastructure, our own closed economies. That's exactly what we need. And that happens again with a real, like a tangible brotherhood, not this fake stuff, not no lip service. That really requires for you to be patient with your brother. You understand? You are not going to agree with everything that everybody else says. That's anybody who has a family, You know, if you ever grew up with brothers and sisters, you know that in your own family, your own close-knit actual family, that you are going to argue with your brother, argue with your sister, even argue with your parents. You know that's going to happen. So what about somebody else that's just calling your brother and you have disagreements when it comes to religion? But what happens is psychologically, you want to force that person into your position because you feel you're right and they feel they're right. And that's not Islam. There's no compulsion in religion. The truth is clear from the falsehood. You don't have to force anybody to do anything, but you do have to be brothers. That is a command from Allah. That's the command. Be brothers, be brothers, be sisters. It's okay to argue. It's okay to disagree. You can have even harsh arguments. That's not haram, you know? But the cutting off of the ties, that's the haram. That's the haram. And when you cut off the ties, every time that you cut off, you inherently make the entire ummah weaker. Based on what? Xenophobia? For xenophobia? You're going to do that? For Aqidah, you will do that? Something that's never been done before? You'll do that? Even the Prophet ﷺ, he had relationships with the munafiqun. But you can't have a relationship with people who are actually Muslims. But you will, work for your kafir boss, be managed by a kafir manager, send your kids to a school being taught by kuffar, but you can't give salam to an ashari. MashaAllah. Subhanakallah hamdik wa shadu li ant wa astaghfiruka atubu ilaik. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. I came to you in peace. I leave you in peace, and peace and blessings be upon all of you.